Welcome to Comics Cubed. I am your host, John Sosis, with two more of the funniest comics you can find today. Here's a feature in In Touch magazine. Here's a feature in Cat Fancy magazine or website?
Both. It's syndicated, actually.
And you might have seen him on TV, on TBS's Are We There Yet?
Probably not, but
Probably.
it's possible.
It's very
Anything's
possible.
possible.
Better than Cat Fancy. There's a better chance.
Is anything better than Cat Fancy?
No, but, you know.
It's like a Zen Cohen. Oh, sorry. Sorry, John.
I don't know what's going on.
I'm sorry, I'm already ruining your...
Oh, no, this
spent so much time setting it
up.
up.
This was 4 weeks ago.
Okay.
This was ruined a while ago.
I'm so glad we're here now then.
Yeah, it's...
sort of like in the aftermath.
Yeah.
I had to get my big stars in first.
Well...
my big stars that...
Who's the biggest person you've had on the show so far? Really?
Yeah.
Eesh.
Yeah. Christian Finnegan.
Thank God you didn't say me, because I've been dieting like crazy.
Oh.
Dieting?
Oh, you meant like big. She's using big in the other way.
Right.
Like
She's
making
comedians with your nonsense.
Double entendres.
How long have you guys been doing comedy? Should we get...
I'm almost at like that year point.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm almost at, well, I mean, I was doing comedy before. I was always been writing comedy. I've been writing a lot, and then I started performing seriously about 8 months ago.
Okay.
Where I was like really hitting the pavement, but like dabbling in it for maybe like a year and a half.
That's pretty good. I mean, you're producing a lot of shows now.
Yeah.
I guess it's a good start.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been really good.
42 years.
42 years?
42.
You're not even 40 yet.
I am 57. Can't tell. I age very well.
Oh, you start when you're 15. That's how it works.
No, I have been doing comedy about 13 years.
Really?
Something like that, yes. Maybe even a little bit more than that. 13 going on 14 now.
Wow.
And I started late. I mean, I started when I was 24. So I guess 13 years. I'm 37 now. So, yeah, I started late by comedy standards.
So that's good then. That means some of our viewers have hope.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know, I always kind of think that a lot of people that start when they're like 15 years old, they don't really have anything to say. You know, I mean, just because they've never actually lived as a non-comedian, and so they end up just talking about, like, did you see this commercial? Because that's like the only frame of reference they have.
That's a lot of dick jokes too.
Oh yeah, I'm nothing against dick jokes, but they should be dick jokes born out of actual experience.
Yeah, yes. That makes sense. So when you guys started comedy, I guess you both started in different times. What was the biggest problem you're fighting now? What was the problem you had when you first started? There must have been something that was just like...
Besides sucking at it? And that was a problem. That's a hurdle to get over.
The not being funny part of it?
Yeah, that was problematic. I mean, I think that the issues, a lot of them are the same. I mean, just finding places to perform, trying to convince people who run shows that you're not a psychopath, and because it's hard. I mean, you produce shows, so I'm sure you get like you get some talented people, and then some real weirdos who kind of crawl out of the woodwork. And so when you meet somebody new who wants to do a spot on one of your shows, you kind of have to have that filter up. And you started your shows here in the city, right? Like,
I think it's different now, where we have a lot more places to perform. I think there are shows everywhere. I think there are too many places to perform.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's never enough good shows.
Okay, yeah.
There's always, I mean, there's always going to be shows. There's always going to be shows that everyone wishes they could do, and there are never enough spots on those shows. And then there are those shows where you're like, oh, I guess I'll do it. You know, and then there are those shows where you don't want to do them because you almost feel like you're doing a disservice to comedy by even showing up. That like to help the show continue would be sort of
too much
work against comedy as a whole. Where do you do your shows?
So we started them at Bartini Ultra Lounge.
I don't know what that is.
It's a gay bar.
Of course it is. Martini?
Yeah, so like they're used to doing. Honestly, it really turned out amazingly. So they were producing all these drag shows, and I met the owners, and we were just talking. They were telling me about all these things they do, and I was like, "Well, do you guys ever do stand-up?" And they're like, "No, but we'd be open to it. It's the nicest place I've ever performed in. There's like cherry blossoms and like paintings on the wall. It's gorgeous." And we've been really fortunate. They had a really great built-in crowd, and then it's also been Hell's Kitchen. So we've always had this great audience of actually like really attentive comedy watchers and lovers.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it ended up being great. We've gotten some amazing people in, and I mean,
I'd love to come.
Yeah.
See, I only did the show to try to get more stage time.
Yeah,
That's,
he heard about stand-up social.
Oh, okay.
And I was like,
well, that's one thing I hear from every comic. You are like the coolest comic. You come to every show in the city.
That's not. It's a nice way to say I have no standards.
That could be true, but it's also
honestly,
like
glass is half full. Just take that.
No, thank you. No, I mean, I don't understand why you wouldn't want to do shows as a comedian. Like, I don't get that. I mean, especially, I mean, yeah, it is sometimes a little weird. Like I said, like you do a show sometimes, and I have to remember that not everyone is as jaded to it as I am. And I don't say there's a positive or negative thing. It's just when you've been doing something for a long time, you don't necessarily have that rush of excitement at just putting on a show, you know. And, but I remember what that's like. I mean, I remember, you know, okay, sure, maybe there's only 20 people here, but I worked my ass off to get those 20 people here. This show means a lot to me, and you know, I try to be respectful and remember that, you know, and it works most of the time.
So what made you guys get into comedy? I mean, you started when you were 24, so you must have had some pretty shitty day jobs.
I had a number. You're like how old now? You're
23.
like 23.
I just turned 23 last month.
Excuse me. No, fine. Good for you. I had a ton of day jobs, both before I started comedy and then while I was doing comedy, and I hope to never have one again, but I haven't totally. You never know. I temped a bunch of different places. I was a waiter. I was a terrible bartender. Probably the shadiest job I ever had is I took an extra job. I had a friend of mine who was a party clown. She's a professional party clown. And around the holidays, they would hire extra people to sort of work Christmas parties, you know. And so I probably did like 6 or 7 Christmas parties where I would dress up like Woody from Toy Story, like we're gonna have the big head.
That is amazing.
Or like a Tasmanian devil costume, or I was Santa Claus a few times, which is insulting when I was very heavy, and when they gave me the Santa Claus suit, they didn't even give me any padding, which felt like kind of an insult. But yeah, so I mean that was probably the worst. I remember once I had to work the Payne Weber Christmas party, which actually was being held at Caroline's, which just made it worse because I was probably been doing comedy about a year and a half, and so it was like I was nobody. I'd never performed at Caroline's except maybe like a new talent night or something. But to be there, but in the capacity, I had to dress like a Christmas elf, like with tights and like pointy rubber shoes and a hat, and I had to walk around with a Polaroid and take pictures of like the dumb Payne Weber executives while they were getting their drink on. And it was, yeah, that
sounds terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty
What
bad.
about your worst job, and what made you get into comedy from it?
Well, my worst job, I didn't get into comedy because of it, because I'm already doing it. It's my life right now.
Oh, that's good.
It's actually very current. I mean, it doesn't suck, honestly. My first job out of school, I was writing for Tyra Banks. I interned there my summer.
Hi, you just write "You Go Girl" and then you click print and you go home.
Exactly. I mean, there was just like a lot of femininity and like beauty, and anything where we could tie her 16-year-old venture to Paris alone into any story, from like the presidential election to Afghanistan.
You have to work the word "fierce" in a few
Fierce,
times. Like,
yes.
Could we get fierce?
Could we get fierce?
Here somewhere?
I really loved the story you did about the Muslims and the throwing of the rocks, but could we put fierce
Yes.
in there somewhere?
That's the best
That
way to do
burger
it.
was fierce.
That burger was fierce. So I got pretty lucky in that regard, or so I thought, and then I got there, and I realized I was going to be there for 90 hours a week. And that was not anything, like, so literally comedy just like,